requests I could throw in for my prayer? Start over here. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Got it. No. Josh Wainwright. Salvation, health. All right, well, let's go ahead and pray, and then we'll jump into it. We're just going to try and cover a lot. We'll see. Anyway, all right, so let's pray together, if you would. Heavenly Father, I'd like to thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to gather together. Thank you so much, Lord, for the fellowship you give us, the church you give us, allowing us all to be here today. Help us all to be grateful for all kinds of things you continue to do, Lord, even the very breath in our bodies, all because of you. Thank you so much for your grace and your mercy. You always watch out for us. This day as we try and present some of your word here, Lord, let it be pleasing to you and let it honor you. Let it put you above all things. Man, get me out of the way. In Jesus' name I ask it all. Amen. All right. I got to set the stupid clock thing so I don't forget. All right. I have a Bible kind of up here. Not kind of, but I have a Bible up here. That'll work. And over the last weekend or so, I was reading it because I couldn't find my normal Bible, but I found this one, so I read it. It's called the American Patriots Bible. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but heard of it?
Heard of it, never seen it.
Yeah. Well, this is it. But it's pretty neat. I mean, inside of it, the words of Jesus are not in red, so I don't care. But anyway, if you go through it, it lists all kinds of American patriots, basically. So it's like from George Washington all the way up to like John Glenn, So they're all in there. And it'll say, okay, so this person put his hand on the Bible in Psalm 18, verses 12 through 15, And it's really detailed like that. And that's what it does. But as I was reading it, I saw a quote in there, and I was like, well, I got to include that. And there's a reason why I'm including this too. It's because, I'll tell you in a minute. Anyway, there is a reason I'm including this one, okay, this quote, because it specifically applies to what I'm going to talk about for creation. It's why this quote applies. So, without further ado, I'm going to give you the quote and then just go from there. Let's see. And I forgot to start with the verse, didn't I? Stupid. Yeah, I got to do this thing. Sanctify the Lord God in your heart. Be ready always to give an answer to any man that asks you the reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear, from 1 Peter 3:15. I put that up there. That's where it is. 1 Peter 3:15. All right. Cool. There we go. All right. So you've got to remember that this quote is from the American Patriots Bible. It was said by a founding father. One of the founding fathers actually said this. And this was said at the very first Constitutional Convention. Okay, the very first one. This is where they're going to ratify, and establish the Constitution of the United States. Okay, that's what they're doing right now. And it is treason for them to do it, even though they have said, we are going to declare ourselves independent from England. That was treason. But they all still did it, and we live in the country that they made. And it is a Christian nation. I don't care who says it. That's what this country is founded on, was Christianity. And I'll give it to you right here. So anyway, I'm going to give you the quote. And like I said, it's a little bit long, but pay attention to where it says he references God. All right. And by the way, I am not an orator like this man, but it's going to, I'm going to try to put some inflection in it as we go. All right. Anyway, this is where it starts. I've lived, sir, a long time. And the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth that God governs in the affairs of men. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We have been assured, sir, in the sacred writings that, except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. I firmly believe this, and I also believe that without his concurring aid, we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel. It's not over. It's going to be more. Told you it's a little bit long. All right, we shall be divided by our partial local interests, our projects confounded, and we ourselves shall become a reproach and a byword down to future ages. And what is worse, mankind may hereafter from this unfortunate instance despair of establishing governments by human wisdom and leave it to chance, war, and conquest. I therefore beg leave to move that henceforth, very first Constitutional Convention, henceforth, prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessings on our deliberations be held in this assembly every morning before we proceed to business. And that one or more of the clergy of the city be requested to officiate in the service. All right. This was said in the summer, all right, good, of 1787, the very first Constitutional Convention. Does anybody have any idea who might have said that? What? The least religious founder? Oh, okay, Benjamin Franklin. Does anybody have any other idea? John Adams, all right, that's a pretty good one. George Washington, nobody said Washington? But you notice all the references to heaven, all the references to God. So who do you think would have said that? Christopher was right. Benjamin Franklin said that. The supposed least religious of the founders. I even heard that he was a deist. I heard that he, or not him, but anyway, it's just when you read what he quoted right there, what he said, and he was 81 years old when he said this, in the first Constitutional Convention ever, and they were going to listen to him. He's asking for God's help. Deist? No. But I wanted to put that quote up there just so you know, Benjamin Franklin did say all that stuff. And I found it in this book, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So neat. I'm going to tie it back into creation. And what we started and didn't finish last time was this creature right here that we should know immediately. And if you don't, get out of this country. Bald eagle. All right, I'm going to try and make this a little bit faster. But anyhow, there's a bald eagle in flight. And we went over a little bit of this, but I'm going to try and review it a little bit. I'm not going to get it as that name, flyer with see-through head. Don't worry about it. He's a large bird, okay? Not a large animal, but he is a large bird. The reason I say that because last time we did the harpy eagle, and it's actually larger than the bald eagle in terms of weight, not in terms of where we're talking about wingspan. Wingspan on a bald eagle is 7.5 feet. That's like, I'm 6, and then if you raise like my hand and my arm above, that's how wide the eagle's wingspan is. The harpy eagle actually has shorter wingspan, and that's because they fly under tree branches. They got to turn really fast. Harpy eagles do. Bald eagles don't have to turn really fast. They soar, which is a cool thing to be able to soar as a bird. That means you're not using any energy just to stay in a flight. You're not flapping your wings trying to get up there. Bald eagles soar. That's pretty neat. All right, so, and their length actually, so the top of their head to the very bottom of their feet there is about 3 feet for that. And he weighs about 14 pounds, okay? And I'll give you a little bit of a picture. So that's got to give you an idea of how the size of that creature. So if you see that lady beside, you know, it's a fairly big animal. It's a large bird. It weighs about 14 pounds. All right, dimorphism is another thing that eagles, I don't want to say suffer, that's not what it is. It's dimorphism. And it's a sexual dimorphism, meaning that in most all species on the planet, the male is usually bigger than the female. Eagles are not like this, and harpy eagles are not like this. The female is actually bigger than the male. So there's another picture of those two there, and you can kind of see that one branch that's to the right. That other eagle is sitting on that just a little bit lower, even though they look like they're the same height. So the one on the right is the female, by the way. All right, moving on. The range of the bald eagle pretty much stretches across all of North America, most of the whole United States, all the way up into Alaska and Canada. And I might be able to get to a story about Alaska, I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, the bald eagle's range, you've seen them here in Virginia, hopefully. If you haven't, you can see them here in Virginia. The bald eagles are there. All right, so that was his range of the bald eagle. What else? Interaction with humans. So how much interaction do you think bald eagles in the wild have with a human? 0. That's basically it. They have no interaction whatsoever unless the human initiates it. So if they're cutting down trees that have bald eagle nests in them, you have initiated contact with that bald eagle, and you may get your eyes pecked out. So that's just up to you. All right, and they do build nests. So one of the big things about eagles is that when they build a nest, most birds build nests, but a bald eagle nest, a lot of you have seen them, I hope. Can anybody tell me, like, immediately, what do you know about a bald eagle nest? They're huge. They're really big. Give you a little bit of a picture, okay? There's a conservation officer, woohoo, sitting on the bald eagle's nest, and that thing is about 10 foot wide, if you can imagine. So that's pretty big. They actually get down to about 30 feet deep, and I say deep, and I'll show you why I said deep here in a second. Yep, their size, so they're really big. Okay, there's a decently good picture, not a real good, but it'll show you like up there in the tree where that's a 10-foot width. When I said 30-foot depth, if you start at the top, that one's not 30 feet, but if you start at the top and then go all the way down, so if eagles build their nests in trees, then they can go all the way down to like 30 feet. It's pretty neat. They can do that. All right, and some of the details about those creatures, let's see, let's not move that yet. Oh yeah, so male and female bald eagles actually mate for life. Pretty neat. And a lot of the animal kingdom, not always that way, but they mate for life in that giant nest. So yeah. Oh, by the way, if anyone needs to know, the giant eagle nest is called an eyrie. Okay? Just in case. Everybody needs to know that. Who knows? Maybe somebody's going to get in wildlife. I don't know. All right. So there's the eagle flying down, you know. We're going to talk a little bit about his equipment. I don't think we got to this point, so this is no longer a review, I don't think. Good. So yeah, we're just going to go with it. The equipment for the bald eagle. His vision, I think we did talk about this, sorry. All right, his vision is 340 degrees. That's his field of view. So if you imagine a circle is 360 degrees. An eagle sees 340. So everything in the front all the way back to like 20 degrees in the very back of his head, he can see everything out there. It's amazing, the field of view of a vision or an eagle. People say, man, you got eagle vision. That's why. What do they do that for? Well, anyway, I don't know why it does these things. Sorry. Where it pop back up. Hey, cool. You gonna work? All right. It's easy. Okay. I do what? We missed something. Oh. Yeah. You got to see all that. Okay. There we go. So 340-degree field of view, he can see virtually everything. And his distance vision is much greater than what we have as people. His distance vision is about 8 times greater. So I think I told you, and it's 5 times sharper, so he can really see far away and he can see it really good. So if we were standing like here and wanted to look at a Big Mac on Food Line over there, you know, it'd be really hard for us to see. Some of us might be able to see it, but an eagle would be able to see it. But I'm not talking about that Food Line there. I'm talking about the one in Poquoson. So an eagle would be able to see that Big Mac on top of Food Line in Poquoson like it was sitting right in front of him. I mean, that's how good his vision is. It's much better than ours. I don't know that I could see a Food Line 2 miles away, golly, but he can see the Big Mac on top of it. And he can see it sharply. They do have 3 eyelids. I'm going to explain that as we go. Those eyelids, not all birds have this, but eagle does have 3 eyelids. And that third eyelid, you know, we'll have the one from the top, the one from the bottom. They have ones that go from the corners of their eyes out. And the reason that it's usually always on, I mean, they can turn off and blink if they want to with that third eyelid. But if that thing is on, when the eagle is flying in the air, the dust particles will sometimes fly up and get hit. But that third eyelid, it smacks that stuff off and they're not hurt by it at all. And they can still see 340 degrees for 8 times better than we can see. It is clear. Huh? Yeah, it's like built-in goggles, yep. I'm going to explain a little bit more about it here in just a second. Yeah, many uses for the 3 eyelids, which I'm going to show you right here in a second. All right, so I've talked about his vision a little bit. You can see from a good ways away, dual fovea. Okay, the fovea, we actually have fovea as animals. Virtually all animals have 2 fovea, and that's the thing that's kind of below your eyes where you see that it helps with depth perception is basically what it's there for. So we have fovea on each side, and we can adjust, and our brain helps us understand depth by those fovea. Now, bald eagles have those fovea too, helps them with depth perception, but they also have 2 more on their peripheral vision, and they don't really have peripheral vision because they see 340 degrees. So, as they're seeing in front, they can also see to the side, and what those are really good for is they can pick up movement, and they can spot that movement a long ways away, and as soon as they see something move, and you'll do it, you actually do it. If you see something move, you'll turn and look at it normally. Something moves, it's like, well, what just moved? You can't help it. The fovea on an eagle, though, if you could imagine, on the sides and on the front, so he's got those things on the front too. So I talked about depth perception. People can use it for depth perception. The eagles use it for depth perception, but it's also like a telephoto lens, if I could put it in broad terms. That's basically what it is. So the eagles can see great distances, then they can see out to the side, talking about movement, which I'll go into here in a minute. Circling. Yes, this is one thing that eagles do. They circle, not like buzzards, okay? Vultures, buzzards, they circle around something dead. Eagles don't do that, okay? If they see something with that fovea and they see movement, then they lock onto that thing that moved, and they can use the other fovea to telephoto that thing, even if it's 2 miles away, and they engage it right then, they see it. So once they've saw that creature, then they'll just circle around once or twice, and then go down and hit it. And I'll explain that too. Anyway, the circling for an eagle is not like a vulture. I just want to make that clear. But on top of that, eagles can fly, obviously. They can fly, so it's a pretty good equipment, being able to fly. When they're flying, they fly about 30 miles an hour, normally. It's just their average thing. But eagles can go a little bit faster than that. Say a little bit, that's not the right term. Eagles can go, when they spot the prey with their fovea, they spot the movement, and then their other fovea, they can spot that prey and then circle around it and then start to dive. So one of the dives that they do is what I'm talking about. When they dive, they can go up to 100 miles an hour. You can imagine that thing coming at you at 100 miles an hour. Ugh, you can grab pretty much anything that it wants. And if all the wildlife people out there, if you need to know, when an eagle dives, it's called a stoop, by the way. So they jump out of their aeries into a stoop. For all you wildlife people. All right, more on their equipment. I got to study a little bit more. Talons. So a lot of the times people will say their claws or whatever. Birds that are accipiters or have a claw in the back and 3 in the front, they're usually called talons on big accipiter birds. Meaning birds of prey, there we go. Accipiter, birds of prey, I should have said that. So they're about 2.5 inches long, and he has 3 up front and then 1 in the back, okay? For those 2.5 inch talons, so they're pretty big. And the one in the rear, it actually uses it kind of like a dagger, okay? It has that big talon on there, and the way that eagle will dive is it'll stab something with those bottom claw first. It stabs it with that, it's not retractable, but that dagger-like claw that sticks out from the bottom. It stabs it. After it stabs it, it can put the other talons on it. Now the grip strength of a bald eagle is greater than the bite strength of a Rottweiler. Eagles do not let go once they grab something, is basically what I'm saying. So they come down there with their flight, stab it with their daggers, clamp down on it with their hard grip, fly up in the air, and then as they're flying, they will get pelted by all kinds of stuff, but they've got a third eyelid that blocks all that stuff from going out. Anyway, all right, I'm gotten too far. Their beaks. The beak on an eagle. It's a pretty big thing. It's about 3 inches long, and it's curved, so it's not a straight out beak. It curves down. Why do you think it would curve down? And when it kills something, after it kills it, it stabs it with that, grips it with that, flies it up to the nest. It's got that curved beak, so that when it pulls something off of the fish, usually they eat a lot of fish, so if it pulls off something, it can give it to a little thing out there, but its curved beak will do. But also for the curved beak, if they were to miss with their daggers, they can use that curved beak just like the dagger and smack that thing right on top of the back and just break it open, So it's a pretty neat piece of equipment is that beak. All right, let's see. So there's another eagle picture. Let's see, where are we at? It's diet, okay. All right, before we get into the diet, I gotta explain a little bit. I didn't fully explain the eagle's pattern of diving something. So you gotta think about this. So the eagle has like a telephoto lens on the front. So he can see the food line over there in Pocosin like nothing. And it's really sharp. So, he sees something, movement, that he detects with his other telephoto lens that sees the movement, and then he locks onto it. Once he locks onto it, he's like, okay, I've got that one. And also, as he's flying, he'll start to circle. He goes, okay, I've got that one. And he'll start to circle, but his foveae that are on the peripheral still picks up movement as he's circling around, see? So he circles once, he looks around and says, okay, if I don't see any movement, I'll circle one more time, if I didn't see any movement. But if he did see movement, he still has to decide, okay, that thing, I know how big it is because he can see it for miles. He says, okay, that thing, I'm just going to leave it and go after this one. Then he wants to change targets, cool. He'll circle that target a couple of times and say, okay, nothing's coming out, I didn't see any more movement, we're going to attack. When he goes to attack, he dives, and then crazy dive thing that I showed you a minute ago, up to 100 miles an hour with these 3-inch long daggers that he's flying down and smacks into the side of a fish or whatever. And then that grip strength is crazy that he holds onto the fish and then flies up. And he's got that curved beak that he can rip it apart right then. It's just amazing, all the stuff that they're equipped with just for one fish, okay? All this stuff that I've just explained to you is just to catch one fish. You think God had anything to do with that? You think he thought, them eagles are going to need to eat? So he put those crazy, awesome eyes in there because he said, you're going to need to eat. You're going to need to pick up prey. You're going to need to see that prey. And that's why he put it all in there. That'll go along with evolutionary speaking. They can't explain it. Anyhow, bald eagle's diet. All right, so let's go into what he kind of does eat. Fish is probably his number one thing. They eat lots of fish. They can eat smaller things too, like squirrels. That'll give you size representation. So squirrels, they'll eat those. Rabbits, that gives you some size. And smaller reptiles like lizards and stuff like that, they may eat those. They don't eat them often, but they will, especially if you have a desert-like eagle that spots them. All right, so they what? They eat Yorkies? Awesome. When did that one on tape, man? That's one of the ones I would play up here and go, watch this eagle, that Yorkie. That would be great. All right.
Keep them on a leash, you'll be fine.
All right. Very nice. Okay, bald eagles, one more thing but one thing I need to tell you is that bald eagles are kleptoparasitic. You can kind of see what that means right there at the very beginning. Klepto, anybody got any idea what that means? They steal. Parasite, what does that mean? Well, yeah, bugs. But you basically take something from a host from them that was important to that host. The host needs it. You take it from them. You're a kleptoparasite. Bald eagles are kleptoparasites, okay? That means that they fly down, and ospreys are really good. 30%, 40-mile-an-hour winds, depending on these do for wildlife. 33%, is what ospreys are good at. Anyhow, let's say an osprey picks up a bird and he's flying back to his nest with it. An eagle, being a kleptoparasite, sees the osprey with the fish and just goes down there and smacks the osprey out of the way and takes the fish. Seriously, that's what they do. You've probably seen some videos of like eagles and they smack together with their claws and they spin around. That's real life. But it also happens with like an osprey or something. An osprey will start that way and then go, okay, you're an eagle. And then just run off and be like, yeah, I ain't messing with that. So that is basically, one of the things that they do is that they'll steal food from other creatures. So they are kleptoparasitic. They're opportunistic as well. Does anybody know what opportunistic means? That's correct. You see it, eat it. That's basically what opportunistic is. Eagles are also scavengers. Hope everybody knows what that means, right? Okay, I can tell the story. All right, cool. So we're in Alaska, and I don't know if you've ever been there, but you need to go, but go in the summer. And nonetheless, they have eagles up there in Alaska. They have lots of them. And we were up there fishing one day, and one of the guys up there has his own fishing thing. So he bought his own fishing, go out for, what is that called? No. Where you, what's it called when you? Charter. There's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, so he has his own charter company. Anyway, and so we go down there to fish or whatever. We catch our limit in no time and then get back up there. But the cool thing about a lot of places in Alaska is that they'll fillet your fish after you get done. After you catch your limit, probably, they'll fillet them for you and they'll vacuum seal it for you. So it's pretty cool. And they did that, But after you fillet something and you vacuum seal it, you got to do something with the entrails, don't you? So they don't eat it, but what they do is just toss it to the side for a while. And then when we were up there, there was a backhoe that came along. And I don't mean like it's a front end loader. You know what I mean? So it goes by like, I don't know how often it goes by, but it grabs all the fish, all the dead fish, and scoops them up, and then drives away, and little ways away, it dumps them all out, and then it drives back. When it dumps them out, I'm like, why did they do that? Well, I guess it makes sense because it stinks. No, that's not why they do it. Because if you start to watch and you'll see the hill that goes right next to them, and it's pretty steep and tall. You'll see it just come to life. And it's like, whoa, what is that? And then all the eagles, they are bald eagles, will come down and start eating all those entrails. And I mean, there's hundreds at one time that I've seen right there in the Nilchik. I was like, man, this is awesome. That's what eagles will do. They are scavengers, so they can eat pretty much anything that's out there. And if it's still alive, they can take it from something, and they're opportunistic. So they eat whenever they want, however they want. Basically is how a bald eagle is. In other words, the bald eagle is an apex predator. This meaning nothing comes after it. Nothing tries to hurt it. That's basically what an apex predator is. All right, so then there's your pretty picture of a bald eagle. All right, and we're going to try to see if this will work. I don't know if it will, but if it does, cool. If it doesn't, sorry. It's not very long. Is it going to work? Can you kind of see it? No? No? I can see it. Is it because? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it'll work. I'm not going to mess with it. It's only like a 15-second video anyway, but it was basically the eagles smacking claws, and they spin around, and then one of them ends up dying. But they don't show that in the whole video. Anyway, I don't care about that. Why don't you just go down, thing? You think, man. What? Hey, all right, it worked. All right, moving on. Yeah, we got a little bit of time. So, right there at the kind of the beginning, I showed you a quote that was from Benjamin Franklin, of all people, talking about God and the assistance of heaven, and said if the people build the house, they labor in vain. Benjamin Franklin. All right, moving on. The bald eagle has a definite impact on United States history. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a history-ish as we go. Not going to be full on, but some things you'll obviously recognize. The Declaration of Independence was written in 1776 on the 4th of July, correct, Tristan? Which July? Yeah, so were you. Anyhow, Declaration of 1776, that's when we said to England and a treason kind of way, hey, we're our own country. Get off of us. So, in 1788, the Constitution was actually written and ratified by 1788. I showed you the quote earlier from 1787 in the summer, where Benjamin Franklin was saying, before every time that we get up here and start, I want us to say a prayer. I want the clergy saying a prayer. And that's what they did. Before every constitutional convention, they said a prayer because of what Benjamin Franklin said right there. In a year, a little bit past a year, they actually wrote and ratified the whole Constitution of the United States. And that's what we live by today. All right. Okay. And then in 1790, something else happened. So 1788, the Constitution was ratified. 1790, guess what happens? That's a tough one. Benjamin Franklin dies. 1790. He was 81 in 1787 when he gave the Constitutional Convention speech. He was 81. And he lived till 1790. All right. In 1782, something else happened. That was in between the Constitution and the Declaration. Somebody got any idea what that might be? What? Yeah, we did choose the national bird. Guess what it is? The bald eagle. In 1782, the bald eagle was the great American symbol, all right? 1782. 1790, Benjamin Franklin dies, okay? Has anyone ever heard the idea that we didn't always want bald eagle as the symbol of the United States? Remember, have you ever heard something like that? What's it supposed to be? Or what did that person say that it was going to be?
Wild turkey.
Turkey. Has anybody ever heard that? Anybody? Benjamin Franklin wanted the wild turkey as the bird. Golly. So when I heard that and I saw that quote, I was like, man, I'm going to look that up. You know what I found? Benjamin Franklin never said that. The closest Benjamin Franklin ever said was, I believe the bald eagle to be a bird of low moral character. How do you judge the moral character of a bird? However, I'll give him credit because I told you a minute ago that the bald eagle is kleptoparasitic. That means he steals things. So Franklin was saying he steals things. He's bad. He didn't say, come on, let's do the turkey. He's much better. He did not say that. Guess what? The turkey was popularized in 1962. Benjamin Franklin dies in 1790. 1962 is when we said, Benjamin Franklin said the turkey. Did he? And I showed you what Benjamin Franklin actually said. The bald eagle's a bird of low moral character. Yeah, all right. Before we keep going on, I want to tell y'all one more story. I got time. All right, so I did creation a while ago, and it was the coyote, because I love doing the coyote. You know, I enjoy creation. So anyway, I did the coyote, and I was reading through there, and I'll have to tell you that my favorite Warner Brothers cartoon is Wile E. Coyote. Loved it. I don't know why, but that was my Warner Brothers cartoon, man. I was just waiting to watch Wile E. Coyote. It was awesome. And you know, he'd run around, and Alvin, does he catch the roadrunner? Never. And that's why I watched it. I don't want to see the coyote catch the roadrunner. I don't want to see that. I want to see him get hit by a train or an acme ball or shot out of a cannon or fall off of a cliff or something. And then he gets up and he's like, oh, that was awful. And then he runs off. If that was real life, I would be totally okay with it and be like, oh, yeah, man, I love watching the coyote. It's great. So I did a little bit more research on them, and it comes to find out that they was researching what the coyote chases as the roadrunner. So I had to look him up, and I looked up the greater roadrunner, and that's what he's called, the coyote chases. He has a top speed of 21 miles an hour, which is faster than any human on the planet, okay? 21 miles an hour, pretty fast for a bird. So I looked up the coyote, because he can't ever catch the roadrunner, right? Guess what the coyote's top speed is? 40 miles an hour. He is twice as fast as the roadrunner. He can catch him anytime he wants. In real life, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the coyote catch the roadrunner. Never. If I'd gone my entire adult life without ever knowing that the coyote was twice as fast as the roadrunner, I'd have been perfectly fine with it. I'd been like, all right, cool. Never even thought about it. Same thing applies right here. If I had gone my entire adult life never knowing that Benjamin Franklin did not ask for the turkey, I'd have been just fine with that. Nope. Now I'm doing all this crazy stuff, and then I have to find out that the coyote's twice as fast as the roadrunner. Benjamin Franklin never said the turkey. Just crushing all my cool dreams, man. I was excited about all that stuff. Anyhow, I wanted to give you that just as something to know. So there's a little bit about U.S. history-ish. There's your pretty picture of a bald eagle, all right? And so, as we were saying, I kind of explained to you how the bald eagle will go down and grab something and take it back to his nest, eat it, whatever. And that's just for one fish, for one meal, once a day. He goes down there, grabs a fish, and brings it back up. I was explaining to you how he has the grip, his talons, his beak. He can fly. All that other stuff. Would he need all that stuff at the same time in order to catch just a fish? Yeah. He's got to have it all. If he doesn't have a beak, how's he going to eat it? If he doesn't have any talons or claws, how's he going to catch it? If he can't grip, how's he going to hold it when he flies back to the nest? If he couldn't fly, he's a sitting eagle for sure. Anyway, so could they develop over time? I don't think so. You're waiting around for millions of years for you to develop a beak that you can grab another fish with. Or you're developing your kleptoparasitic skills. Let's put it that way. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't be taking a bunch of stuff out of the hands of ospreys, and the osprey population would increase greatly, just like the bald eagle population would decrease. Could they develop over time? If he didn't have any way to catch the food, eat the food, hold the food, fly around, if he didn't have that, if he had to wait for it to develop over time, he wouldn't survive. So what's the only alternative then? Anybody? What's the alternative? Created. That is the alternative. The bald eagle was created. Like everything on this planet, alive right now, it was created. By God, God did those exact things. All right, cool. That through that one. All right. Anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if it's the eagle specifically, but every once in a while I've seen like a tiny, some small bird that'll chase a bird of prey. I don't know if it got one of its babies or whatnot. Do you know what little bird that is?
Well, it depends. So it could be a couple different ones. So a chickadee will do that, a sparrow will do that, and mockingbirds are usually ones that are pretty prominent about doing that, and they chase off crows is usually what they chase off. And the crow is much bigger than a mockingbird, and the mockingbird chases them off. The crow doesn't mess with them.
Specifically bird of prey, whether it was
A crow is a bird of prey, but I understand what you're saying.
probably more likely a falcon.
Yeah, could be a falcon too, but the same kind of same kind of thing would apply there. Even though the raptor, it's not a raptor, or yeah, it is raptors because you're saying bird of prey. Even though they swoop down or whatever they do, the smaller birds, whether it's a sparrow or a chickadee or something like that, can come at them. If you think about every animal on the planet, it has no self-awareness. It doesn't know who they are. You ever put a cat in front of a mirror and smack at it? They don't know who they are. They're just like, oh, there's another creature over there. Same thing goes for every animal out there. They don't have any self-awareness. So a smaller chickadee can chase off a big crow, even though they don't have any self-awareness. They have no idea what their size is, just like the crow has no idea what its size is.
It always boggles my mind because I'm like, don't you realize that's your predator?
That's the thing, is they don't. But some of them will recognize predators depending on the relationship So if that group of animals is used to getting killed by this certain predator, then they try to avoid that predator. You know what I mean? But that's an experience that adds to them. It's not really genetic, it's just learned experience. So their parents were telling them, don't go over there and mess with those. And that's basically how that works. Hope that answered. That answer your question? Okay, cool. Anybody else? So everybody's got everything about the eagle they know. Good for me. All right. So I think we're going to go to, what's next? Choir practice?
Nothing.
Oh, there is no choir because that thing is up there. That's right. Well, never mind then. There's nothing until the 11 o'clock service. So, yeah, we got our 11 o'clock service. And then that's the next thing on our list. So appreciate y'all being there and listening to all of this stuff. And